Climax Television.
Hi, I'm Kim Kelly from Team Canada. That's us next on TSN.
The Lewis and Clark paddle wheeler on its daily voyage up the Missouri in Bismarck on the final day of round-robin matches at the World Curling Championships. Canada's Colleen Jones has gone about defending her world title the hard way after 4 straight losses. Jones has faced must-win matches since Tuesday. There is another one today on the final draw, and there's still hope for the playoffs. This is Korea's first ever appearance on the World Curling stage. Average age for these first-timers from Seoul is 23. The skip, Mi-young Kim, is winless in 8 games and faces another tough test on the final day.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Wells along with Kathy Goche. Welcome to Day 6, a final chance for 5 teams to make that final dash for the playoffs. And for Colleen Jones, everything has fallen into place, including meeting a winless team from Korea today.
It really has. After 4 losses, Colleen did what she could do. She won. She had help from others. And you're playing a team that technically you shouldn't have difficulty with. So what do? You keep your focus. You stick to your game plan. And for Colleen, we know that's pretty simple and wide open. But if you get into trouble, you bail early. And probably the biggest key is to look at your own sheet and keep your blinders on.
Yesterday, for Canada and Colleen Jones, a bit of a brain cramp in the 8th end against the United States.
Well, it was, John, because it could have been fatal. Colleen, already line 1, decides to throw it away. Everyone thinks she's throwing the out-turn, but look how close she comes to promoting the U.S. stone for shot. Those things cannot happen if Colleen is going to win.
Guard against those mistakes as Canada's Colleen Jones goes up against Korea on the final draw, and she'll be watching 3 other sheets rather closely this morning as well.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you by Karcher, quality cleaning equipment, by Nokia, proud sponsor of the Nokia Briar, and by Ford. Ford of Canada supports the love of the sport and the drive to achieve.
Final women's draw coming right up. Here's what we know. Scotland has clinched first place. Norway has clinched the playoff spot. Sweden is in with a win. Then it gets rather interesting. Canada, Denmark, Russia, and Switzerland. 4 teams at 4 and 4. They would make the playoff round, at least the tiebreaker round, with a win in this final draw. Civic Center in Bismarck ready for Day 6 at the Worlds. Let's look at the matchups on Sheet A. Norway at 6 and 2 takes on Sweden at 5 and 3. On Sheet B, a meaningless game for Germany and the United States, both out of playoff competition. On Sheet C, the frontrunner Jackie Lockhart of Scotland against Manuela Corman of Switzerland at 4 and 4. On Sheet D, Russia and Denmark, 2 teams at 4 and 4. The winner will move on to the tiebreaker at least. And the game we watched this morning is Canada's Colleen Jones against Korea. Jones at 4 and 4. Korea winless in 8. Time now to read the ice on Sheet E, brought to you by Ford.
Well, John, there's no difference from the inside to the outside sheet where we are today, except for the morning draws. It is straighter. Only 3 feet around the center guard. That moves very slow. The most movement to the wings, about 3.5 feet. We can see it go up to 4, but outside in, very, very straight. Nothing on a hit, but about 1.5 feet on draws. I know we've said it before, but this is the spot where if you see half a rock, you're better off to play full hit. And if you get the guard, that's okay. Today, a win is essential for Canada.
Let's meet the teams, brought to you by Ford. This young Korean team, Ji Hyun Park, Han Jung Lee, Mi Sung Shin, and the skip is Mi-young Kim. All are 24 or under. Canada's veteran team, Nancy Delahunts, Marianne Way, Kim Kelly, and the skip is Colleen Jones. Canada will have the hammer and shoot with Yellowstone.
And we talked about the key for Colleen and Team Canada is the focus. We showed you that shot in the opener. If she was going to play the out turn, which is what she threw, we thought she would throw it way out in the wings or the other side, and the correct turn obviously would. Where your attention can quite frankly wander.
Winning a world championship is never easy, Kathy. Colleen Jones has found out that defending the title can be even more difficult when the expectations are somewhat higher. It was a great start for the Canadians, 2 wins to kick off the week, and then 4 losses in a row before winning 2 more to get back to 4-4 and have a meaningful match on this Thursday morning.
No question about that, and certainly for Randy Ferbey and Colleen, it is very tough to repeat, to get out of Canada twice, which is what they have both done. And when you're in Canada, if these teams from the world were in Canada, with all due respect to the Koreans, this is their first appearance. This is not a team that you would expect to see in a Scott Tournament of Hearts. And so the field is really uneven at a World Championship. Some great teams and some really weak teams.
Here are the ice times this morning coming up. Brought to you by Karcher, as always.
Draw weight's been a bit of a struggle for a lot of the teams, because even though 13.5 is the draw weight between the 2 hog lines, and we're looking at about 15 for guards, the challenge has been that the ice is patchy. It is spotty, and it's difficult to throw 13.5 with confidence and know that it will get there.
Nothing in play thus far.
If she's corner, leave it. Okay.
Corner guard put up by Canada. Interval times here.
And again, those numbers have remained static throughout the week, about 23 seconds from hog to tee. The numbers that we're hearing go up to about 3.4, 3.5. That's the back line to the hog, and of course back line to tee, about 26. Some pretty low numbers for all of the Korean girls, with one exception, all about 10th in this field. It is their first appearance. They're very young. They are working with a Canadian, Elaine Dag-Jackson, who also has spent considerable time with the Japanese to help them understand the game and bring their level up. But it is a first go for them. They certainly don't have the competition in their country that we have. And they are really a delightful team. They have been smiling throughout the week, and you will see today that they really do enjoy this game.
There have been several lopsided losses, as you might expect, for the Koreans, but a couple of narrow losses as well against Denmark and Scotland, where they had their best games of the week. Still came out on the wrong end.
And I was sitting in the arena one afternoon, John, for the game against Germany, a game that they were up 2, playing 8 when they gave up 5. Those kinds of things you wouldn't expect an experienced team to do, and they didn't do it by misses. They did it on strategy calls, and without a lot of experience, that's the kind of mistakes you usually do make.
Gave up 5 and lost by 4, so it was a close game in many ways there.
Really nice stone by Marianne Way, buried completely. Korea looking at running their own stone, straight back.
Ran it back, but not onto the yellow, and right through the back of the house. Luckily the right plan. Execution didn't work out.
We need all of that ice.
Marianne at 73%, tied at 8th. No question has been the surprise on this Canadian team. This is a very good player, throws the rock really, really well, has just not been in her best form this week, has contributed in every other way possible. But certainly for Marianne Way, this has not been a vintage week.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Whoa.
Look at this Canadian team, Kathy, and we have talked about it a little bit, but it has been a long, long season for Colleen Jones.
I don't think most people realize the kind of time that teams to compete, and Colleen's team are very methodical. Those girls, Nancy, Kim, work very hard. They work on and off the ice. They do fitness programs throughout the summer, and the season starts in September, and that season meant a lot more play than usual until November to be ready for the Olympic trials, which were held the first week of December in Regina. And then you come off a tie for second. They had a great performance there. And then you have to start being prepared for the Scott Tournament of Hearts because they knew they were going to be there as Team Canada. You win that, and then you got to start working at the four-guard game. It is a long, long season.
Canada has the shot stone.
Regular.
Kim Kelly in the
Gonna
hack.
come a little more than that, Colleen?
Kim and Nancy, some great
I
numbers
think
this
that was
week,
just
both of them
practice, Nan.
leading all
The draws are
shooters
going,
at
but I
their
think the hits
position.
will be pretty straight like normal. Hurry.
Hard, girls.
Removal of the stone by the Korean team, and the roll allow Kim to try to get to the inside.
Sorry.
A little off the mark.
Not the time for control. Wait, though. Man.
현자 똑같이 놓으면 돼. 아니 팔.
Chance now for Korea to replace that Canadian stone and lie two. You talked about the average age. Two 23-year-olds, 122, 124. Young indeed, but a great future ahead for these girls, no question. Just manages to touch the top one, but not enough that it misses the back one. Korea lies one.
Sheet C, Scotland and Switzerland. Scotland with a record of 7-1, top spot already guaranteed. Switzerland with the 4-4 teams trying to grab a tiebreaker with a victory on this final morning draw. Scotland Redstones, chance for a couple here, but Lockhart's shooter will not hang around, and it's only 1 point there.
And that is part of the bunch that we will be watching this morning. Colleen needs to win this game to move on, but then, boy, there could be lots of other things that happen that put her in a tiebreaker. For one game, a tiebreaker, 2 games, 4 teams tied. And that's why it's so important to keep those blinkers on and look straight ahead.
And it will be tough not to glance over at other sheets this morning for all of the teams at 4-4, or even Sweden at 5-3, trying to make a spot here.
And for Kathy Goche. Some low numbers for Myung. You'll notice, though, that she's not 9th, or rather not 10th, that she is 9th, and you would expect that in their first outing, some of her shots have been very, very difficult.
Nothing in the house, nothing in play.
This is all new for these girls. It's new to be in a world championship, curling relatively new in the country, and the experience that they take out of this will help them tremendously.
So on a 3, am I? Yep. 3. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. See, I gave you about center for yours, but
There is that one
there
Canadian
was one over there, right?
stone.
Oh, Nancy's corner, I'm thinking.
Corner
but they
guard out
pushed it
there.
over on me. It's the thing. So I hate to take right up center now because. Okay.
Colleen just looking at what the ice might be like. When she talks about pushing it over, she would like to take a little bit less ice than she gave for the corner guard. The problem is she doesn't know how much less early on in the game and doesn't want to place it so close that Korea gets the chance to hit and roll.
Yes.
Big test for draw weight for Colleen early. Has been a struggle for many of the players on both Canadian teams.
Colleen Jones curling 73%, tied for fourth among skips.
Hurry. No, it's too late, Roland. Why are we excited? It's a good weight, eh?
Over on sheet A, a blank end, Norway, Sweden. The USA has a 1-0 lead on Germany in the game that is just for fun this morning. Scotland leading Switzerland 1-0. Chance for two turned into one. Russia jumped out with a 1-0 lead on Denmark, and that's the critical game in the sense that one of those teams will be on to the tiebreaker, both at 4-4, so the winner is 5-4 and at least clinching a tiebreaker spot. Mi-Young Kim.
Well, you saw for Colleen, she was concerned about the ice. I think that she had it pretty well figured out. The problem was just a little bit light. So 2 guards for Mi-Young to try to get around, make it tougher for the Canadian team to blank this end. Good weight, but wide open.
Under or over curling? Okay, I just wondered.
Yeah, that doesn't have a hope getting the other side of it.
So for Colleen,
I think we'll get it.
the game plan, very simple. Try to strike when you can. Didn't get around that guard, and she has a very good opportunity to blank this first end and go to the second and see what happens then.
I don't know, maybe I should overcurl in the out turn, eh?
Waiting for the last rock in the first end.
Have you got lots of room on that one?
One Korean stone in the house. 2 Canadian rocks in front.
Whatever you like.
Well, that looks like nose to me.
I don't think.
Well, I don't.
Lots of indecision early. The question is not about what do we do, it is what is the ice. That's that 4-foot line. You see the black line running right to the rock. If you take a whole lot more, you run the risk of missing the stone. She can't afford to take a whole lot less, and what you heard Colleen say is she thinks that this is ice for the nose.
Chance to blank the opening end for Canada's Colleen Jones against Korea this morning. Well played, both rollouts. And the hammer will remain in Colleen's possession as we head to the second end here. Final draw, final day of the round robin at the Worlds in Bismarck.
It's always been there approximately, but
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you in part by Husky and Mohawk, leaders in fuel, food, and convenience. By JVC, excite your senses. And by Whirlpool Home Appliances, proudly supporting extraordinary Canadian women athletes and everyday champions across the country.
Final day of the round robin at the 2002 Ford World Curling Championships. We're inside the beautiful Civic Center in Bismarck, North Dakota, watching Canada's final game of the round robin against Korea. A win in Canada will advance to the tiebreaker round. A record of 5-4.
She said, whoa.
And even a shot at the tiebreakers looked like a long shot for Canada after 4 straight losses at midweek. But then a few things fell into place for the Canadian team, and not the least of which is taking on Korea in this game this morning as the final match. Korea winless all week long.
And all of those things do add up, John. It wasn't just a matter that Colleen had put herself in a situation after 4 losses where she had to win all of her last remaining games. She had to win all of them and also hope that Denmark lost one of their last 2 in last game that Denmark played. That's exactly what they did. So for Colleen, she knows if she wins this game, she's not out of the show. There's a chance to still come back, and without the page system at the Worlds, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. Those games are sudden death, and whether you come in 2 games ahead of your first place opponent or your 4th place opponent, it's about who wins in the semifinal.
I'll let you go first.
After the 4 losses, Jones came back with a win over Russia, 8-7. And then yesterday, another nail-biter, a 6-4 victory over Patty Lank of the United States.
And there are so many things that can happen this morning depending on wins and losses on other sheets and who does that and what Canada's record was against them. If Canada's record is better, it may mean that they won't be in a tiebreaker or get a better position within that tiebreaker. And we will keep you posted.
Tickers. 45 is good.
Pretty simple game as we thought that Colleen would play. Her plan, whether it's at the Scott Tournament of Hearts or the Worlds, and it is important that you keep the same plan
It's a little deep.
that works for you, is a relatively
Close.
simple game using
It's
guards.
back.
Close for line.
It's back.
It's about T, isn't it?
No.
Sometimes too defensive,
It
but
shouldn't
for
be,
today
but
we
it
would
might
agree that
slow down.
simple is a really good
shot,
idea.
Marianne. Nice shot.
It's okay to say
Yep,
that,
it
Kathy,
is.
but when you get to the 4-rock rule at the Worlds, Canadian women have not taken advantage of what that allows offensively as they have played here in all of the games this week. Is that not a correct statement?
I agree to a point. I think that with the 4-guard zone, you tend to have opportunities when you are losing to generate offense. And if I have one comment against Colleen's team, it would be that. I think it's really important that a game plan that Colleen has adopted since 1982, which is simple and wide open, and that has worked very well for her, is not changed because she feels that maybe the field isn't as strong. I would never be a proponent of that. Where we have wondered about Colleen is that when she has been down in those 4 losses, she continued to throw rocks in the house, did not use the 4-guard zone, and did not get the misses or the wins.
And she's playing teams like Doherty Nordby, who's a 2-time champion and lives by the 4-rock rule. And that was a loss for Canada.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, that started the losing spiral. The loss to Doherty Nordby on Sunday, followed by a loss to Denmark. Then the controversial 9-3 game against Germany, and a loss to the frontrunner Scotland 6-4 on Tuesday.
And if you happen to miss that, what John is talking about, the controversial loss to Germany, there was 1 point, or rather 2 points, that separated Canada from Germany in the 7th end. Colleen was drawing against 3 points, had made the draw, and then the hogline officials ruled that she was over the hogline, removed the stone, and gave the 3 points to Germany, and that was the beginning of the end. And we say controversial because it appeared when we looked at the footage that
it was close.
It was close. But of course it should be clear at the Worlds.
2 Canadian stones in the house, and 2 remain. Wide open miss for Korea.
Don't blame Korea for the call when that stone is perfectly buried. You play the open one. Unfortunately for the Korean team, the miss gives Colleen a chance with Kim Kelly to get around that center guard again. Maybe generate some big points for Canada in this second end.
Trying to get around the guard put there by Korea, and it's nibbling the 12, partially covered, as you see.
Good brushing by Nancy Delahunt, Marianne Way. Good shot by Kim. Good team effort on that one to get that stone there. Looking for big weight here on this shot, wants to run her own guard back. One of the problems with doing this, of course, is that it's an all or nothing shot. Could leave Korea in a lot of trouble on this one. And that's why.
Wrecked on the guard and left one in its place. Something else to tuck a rock or two behind. Sheet C, it's Scotland leading Switzerland 1-0, and here's the opportunity Manuela Corman has been looking for. With her 4-4 record, a chance to be around for the tiebreaker round, and this is her final stone. In 2. Jackie Lockhart of Scotland has already clinched first place, so it's not as important to her, but immensely important to Switzerland, throwing yellow stones and counting 3 for the lead there.
You got a chance here. You got room, you got room, you got room. It looks like it's gliding. Not deep, guys. Oh, it's a little deeper. Shoot, sorry, Kim. Shit. Oh, head down on that one.
Last stone for Denmark on sheet D. Lindy Bidstrup against Olga Yarkova of Russia. Both teams at 4-4. The winner is on to the tiebreaker round. Russia scored first.
We do know about this game. Loser go home. Chance for 2. And she gets it.
And Bidstrup puts Denmark on the board and into the lead.
In the background, you see right there Elaine Dagg-Jackson. That is the coach of the team. Elaine, the former coach of Kelly Law's Canadian Championship teams, has spent a lot of time both in Korea and in Canada working with this team, trying to help them to understand some of the fine parts of this game, trying to drive this stone back on this one or this one. It's about removing multiple yellow stones. And there is Elaine. Lots of time. We saw her also with the Japanese team in 1995. And since that time, her husband Glenn to her left as you look at the screen. A lot of time trying to help other countries to understand this game that we love.
Yellowstones in the house. 4 of them to be exact. 1 is gone from the outside. And the shooter for Korea, maybe a nibbler there. Over on sheet A, Norway and Sweden. Final stone belongs to Margaretha Sigfridsson, who blanked the first end. Final rock here in 2.
And that great split screen on the bottom, you could see that what she was facing was 1 Norwegian stone in the 4-foot. So her team Sweden needs to get to the 4-foot, even biting the Ford logo. And
there you go.
That's
wrecked out front. And so Dorothy Nordby steals 1 for the lead as they move to 3.
The first one I threw what? 3.
The way they pounded it, I thought maybe it was.
I don't know. See,
Okay, I can go a 3-2 here. Do you think over on this side?
I think you can throw 3, Skipper. Yeah.
But starting to bury, they can take this rock right around. But really what they'd like to do is place it where I just showed you on the telestrator so that it takes away the chance for Myeon Kim on her last stone to get in there.
Canada trying to build up a big end here in 2 after blanking the first. 3 Canadian stones right across the tee line. They drag this one not quite by.
That's okay there. We've got both these covered. Okay.
Excellent.
the red
That's
guard
great,
out
Chuck.
front, and it's going to work out not badly.
Honey, Coach
You got
Colleen.
all of your
Even the
I
little
know.
rub.
Walking.
Thanks. Colleen was calling it.
Struggles with a
Would've been
little
nice
bit
top 12 weight.
draw weight, but that worked out not too bad. You can see that this red guard got moved over and covers both. What Myung feels is that she can get to the face of this stone by coming in this way. It's a very tough shot because if this over curls a little bit and she's starting to look at it, coming back now. She raises yellow in for 4. Would be a chance for 5 for Canada.
Other options for Myung here.
Oh boy, she's in a heap of trouble. Here's what I think might be their best option, quite frankly, is to come around with this turn, even if she's able to be here. Might hold Canada to 2. An option she's not considering. This is all or nothing, and you can see where this stone is. If it over curls, it doesn't take much for Canada to be lying 4.
Might be about damage control here is what you're saying, right? Cut your losses somehow
Absolutely.
or other. And if you're looking another rock ahead,
that out-turn draw gives her the best position. If she's able to freeze that stone, would hold Canada to even 1. But I think that sometimes with inexperience, you focus so much on the rocks. You can see from this angle, there's not a lot of room to get in that hole. And that yellow guard, boy, that's tight to the house.
playing the second end, no score so far. Final stone for Korea here, facing a bundle of Canadian rocks. Well, she got it through and got them both out of the 4-foot. Wondered about the wisdom in making that shot. She gets rid of a couple, but Canada still has a nice opportunity here.
Indeed, this is a really fine shot.
She'd rolled that second Yellowstone out a little further, she would have been a little better off, but it hangs around and gives Colleen the chance with 2 in the house to pick up a 3 here.
They are fun to watch. Well, and you can see that that's a really good shot. Colleen doesn't have a lot of room, hoping to get in.
Do you think it'll still swoop that much with back line?
Trying to throw back line, chance for 3, but boy, that rock is very buried.
You had probably top 4 in your last one, just for reference.
Yeah, I do think I got to throw true back line.
Okay.
All of a sudden it gets rather interesting, doesn't it,
Little
Kathy?
more now.
Well, it does, because you can see that from the hack, there's
Yeah, that looks
just a whisper of a rock
Perfect.
that Colleen can see.
You
The
know what?
one
A little
thing
less again.
that she absolutely knows is that this is outside the 4-foot lines, and once it starts to swoop, it swoops. Looking for swoopage.
Back line. Whoa. Close.
Now.
Close.
That's a new one.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the curling dictionary.
Watch
Final
that rock
stone.
go.
Colleen Jones trying to get to the button, gets it through the porch. Little tap back.
Oh,
How
this
many can she count?
Great shot.
Very, very nice.
Three.
Back-to-back fine shots.
Great shot. I'm glad you narrowed up there. Did sort of hold for a bit.
That is
Well,
a great shot, John, and that is why this woman is a 2-time Canadian and former reigning world champion. Great line, great brush. That was a tough, tough shot.
Korea set it up and made Colleen Jones make her last shots in the second end, but she did it, and she got 3. Here's a key shot brought to you by Husky and Mohawk, leaders in fuel, food, and convenience. After a great shot by Mi-young Kim of Korea, Colleen Jones responded with this.
Well, we could have given Mi-young the key shot, except for the Canadian skip comes back with an even better one. You'll see how little room. Wow, she has by that rock and taps this stone back, takes that 3 points and a great big lead in this so important game. This was a peach.
It was for 3. And Canada could have counted more had Kim not made a double that removed 2 Canadian stones from the 4-foots with her final shot.
And she also rolled behind that center guard.
This one's going.
What a great pair back to back.
Yeah, she threw more on that one. Look at it die in the house, eh? Like yours, I keep saying back, and they're not. They're above the tee because they really nicely stop.
Again, Canada
Yeah,
looking to win with a record of 4 and
that
4.
was 41. It's just
A
when
victory
you're in
over
a freshman
Korea
pack,
today would
yeah,
mean
no fouls at
Canada
the beginning.
would
You
qualify
didn't throw that much more than the
for the
first.
tiebreaker round at the very least. Depending on other games that are underway here this morning, it could be even better than that if Canada comes up with the win. But again, Colleen would need help from some of her friends. And that's worked out this week a couple of times with Canada's tough stretch in the middle of the week. Jones needed a couple of wins by teams on certain draws just to be alive and playing in a meaningful game this morning. Here are 2 teams trying to make it to the tiebreaker round. Lenny Bidstrup of Denmark and Olga Yarkova of Russia. Here's the final rock.
And it looks to be that she is hitting against 2 for the single point.
Sorry, not her.
So it's back to even over there with Russia picking up
Slip behind the line.
a second point. It's been a fun team to watch all week long, and Russia at 4 and 4 was in better shape a day ago as far as the win column was concerned, but a couple of losses lately has dropped the team back to 4 and 4. But this team, making its first appearance at the Worlds, has played pretty well.
They played very well. The crowd loves this team. And back in our feature sheet, that short red guard in front of the house thrown by the Koreans meant that for Colleen, wanting to keep it simple, drew to the outside, and it is that yellow stone that has hit and rolled back. Now Korea trying to roll behind their corner guard, a little bit successful, but still open for the Canadians.
I'm kind of tempted to do this. You got it all?
Over on sheet A, it's Norway and Sweden. Norway has already clinched a berth in the semifinals. Sweden at 5 and 3 will clinch second place, or will clinch a playoff spot with a victory. A tiebreaker spot is already assured. Final stone for Margaretha Sigfridsson as we look in live. Norway stole 1.
Chance for 2 if it can stop.
And will they get it to stop in time? Oh, that's close.
But only
I think
one.
only one, yes. So
It's
a missed
tied up.
opportunity there. It's even on A.
Back here, a really good shot by Marianne Way means that the Canadians are buried behind that tight corner guard that belongs to Korea. Korea trying to draw down on top of that stone now.
Shot rock belongs to Korea. Here's Kim Kelly for Canada.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yep.
Ideally, Colleen would like to hit and roll away from that stone so they don't start to build up a big wall at the back of the house for Korea.
Rolled away and rolled out. United States leading Germany 3-1 in a game that's for pride at this point in time. No shot at a playoff spot for either team. Switzerland leading Scotland 3-1 in a desperate game for the Swiss at 4-4, trying to be around for the tiebreakers.
And for Manuela Corman, she knows if she wins that game, there will be at least another one for her, but a loss means time to go home. So you can get that desperation sometimes. It takes you up a little bit in your shooting abilities.
Third end was blanked on that sheet.
Once again, Korea trying to draw down to the Canadian stone, back of the house. Nice weight, just can't seem to get the finish that the Canadian teams have been able to get.
It's open for Kim Kelly.
Can we just play it tight? What? Can we play it tight? Oh, you want to roll on? Okay.
Colleen is worried that if they hit it on the outside, they might drive it back just like that. Feels that they can do two things with this stone. They can remove the tight Korean guard, and they can also roll onto the paint, which keeps it open for Canada with this 3-0 lead. Makes that red stone that is shot easier to access on the next one.
Hurry, quick! Hard, roll it, Marianne. Right over.
Kim Kelly's final stone here in 3. Nicely played. Got rid of the red and rolled the shooter into the rings in the 12.
It's a good shot by Kim, and it does serve those two purposes of keeping this game simple for Korea along one. Talking about splitting the house.
라인 약간 들어갔는데. 세 보여. 웨이트. 라인 넉넉해. 아니야, 넉넉해. 라인 넉넉해.
Has she got what she needs? Maybe a little too much steam on this. It'll hang in at the back of the 12.
But for Colleen, with that great first shot by Kim Kelly, means that this shot stone in the 4-foot is now wide open, and she can get to it with the out turn, where there is no perceptible risk of driving it back onto this one. That's why they're playing this turn, and that's why they removed that tight guard. Simple is the game plan, and simple is how Colleen's playing it.
It was such short, powerful strokes, you know? I mean, I know it doesn't look far, you guys, but it's the power. It was the power. It's like doing a sprint.
Great sense of humor for both teams. The Korean enjoying this experience very much, as they should. And for Colleen, her team bugging her a little bit that she's out of breath from sweeping that one rock back. Skip's not known for their great staying power. Sorry, Linda.
We're down to Skip's Rocks here in 3. Canada with the lead. 3-0 on Korea.
Hard. Whoa. Yes. Hurry. Right up, you got it, guys. Hurry. Right up, bro. Good shot.
Nicely done.
Very nicely done. Canada with 3 across the rings. Last stone belonging to Korea here, after the 3 picked up by Canada in 2.
So for Korea
Threw
wanting
it
the
beautifully.
no
I
sit.
just called it early, thinking that side was pro for sure. She threw it right up.
PT 롤만. 롤 해도 2개 맞을 것 같아. 이쪽으로만 잘 가면 돼, 2개.
Mi Young Kim in the hack in her first World Championship appearance.
And she's got a couple of options here, John. If she rolls a little bit to the outside, she will be shot and in front of the Canadian stone. That is currently second shot. If she rolls really far, she can get behind the one that's in the top 12.
No sweep on this.
A little bit of a roll. That's one of the things that we talked about. Makes it just a little bit more difficult for Colleen.
생각해보니까 이쪽도 괜찮아. 괜찮아. 잘했어.
Quite, yeah, a little over there.
Happy with every made shot, are they not?
이쪽으로 하기 잘한 것 같아. 이쪽으로 하면 어색해.
Or even the intern pick is, you know, you don't even have to stay.
Well, I'd like to stay now.
Yep, I know.
The question is, as always, the turn.
Kill us.
Can you stay without jamming?
You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind about the two. What I don't want is
You can with the intern for sure.
I want to make sure I stay.
And she's choosing the out turn, and the reason that the out turn is a little bit more difficult is she has to cross the face of the rock. And the out turn, as we all know, with the out turn, she has to curl right across, or she has to hit it really far on the outside to roll here. She wants to stick around. And when we talk about skips and we talk about fifths and what they do well, if you're looking at Colleen's stat, we talk about her preference to the out turn.
These two
To this point in the week, she has thrown
concerned,
54 interns and 102 out turns. What does that tell you, John Wells?
I was listening to Colleen.
Yeah.
Well, you prattled on there.
What it tells you is that she loves her out turn.
And always has.
Whoa. 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 Close. Yeah.
Final stone, Colleen Jones.
Hurry, you guys.
Hard for a piece, guys. Hard for a piece. Hard for a piece.
Ooh,
Oh dear.
worst possible result. The opportunity is there. Clean
We
miss.
could have pounded that from the
And took
get-go.
out the second Canadian stone.
Well, and it's a huge miss because look what happens. She plays the out turn, we know it runs straight, and then it swoops.
Swept her a little sooner for you.
Just curls, but the huge part of this is that by clipping out her back one, with Korea about to throw last stone, she has a hit for three to tie this game.
Wrong turn.
Both turns are there,
I
but
guess
with
that's
the
another
in-turn,
spot where you know it's going to curl.
I
so
think that
soon
you
to
know it's
have
going to run straight and you can just
no
pick it and
sweep
roll
out of
out.
it.
With the out turn
or
out there, if you take a little more on the 4-foot lines, they run straight. That rock started to curl and went past, and that's a huge bad break for Canada because removal of the stone, don't forget, that stone stuck around. This is a shot, a chance for three.
그러니까 이쪽 맞아야 돼. 웨이트 아까 셌냐? 셌어. 팔 이 정도면 되나?
Loss of concentration. What do you think? What happens in a situation like that where you're playing it nice and close and all of a sudden you're handing it right back to a team that hasn't won a game in this championship?
She called the end really, really well, John, and sometimes we think back too much on strategy. That was a very simple case of execution that did not happen on the last stone.
Here's a chance for Korea to have its biggest end of this championship. An opportunity for three against Canada's Colleen Jones. Opportunity to get back to even and tie the game. A miss by Canada. Korea has the opportunity to take advantage of that. Will the stone hang around?
You bet.
Yes, it will, with a little help and a little backing from another red counter there. So count three for Korea on a mistake by Canada. Smiles all around for the team that looks for its first win in Bismarck. And here are the players this morning. The lead for Korea is Ji Hyung Park. Canada's lead, Nancy Delahunt. Second, Korea, Hai Young Lee. And of course, there's Canada's Marianne Way. For Korea, Mi Sung Shin against Kim Kelly at third. And the skip, Mi Young Kim, just made a terrific shot there against the veteran, Colleen Jones of Canada. Be ready for a couple of updates and key matches this morning. First on sheet D, it's Denmark against Russia. Russia missed an opportunity in this end, and that opened the door for Lenny Bidstrup of Denmark. Olga Yarkova had a chance to set things up a little bit better, and Denmark has the opportunity here on the final Yellowstone. Need a little help from the sweepers, or at least a little extra stuff. And there you go. For a couple and a 4-2 advantage for Denmark. Both teams at 4-4 coming into today. On sheet C, Scotland has top spot all locked up. Switzerland is scrambling, clawing to get into the playoff round. First, a chance to get into the tiebreakers.
Well, and you saw that for Jackie Lockhart, what she needs to do is to draw better than the stone that's in the forefoot that belongs to the Swiss team.
So Scotland with the final stone here. Switzerland with one big end, a 3 counted by Switzerland in 2, and this is a little shy. In fact, a lot shy. Steal for Switzerland, 4-1 advantage there. So we'll keep you posted and try and figure out what happened in this game. Canada's Colleen Jones against Korea. It's all even at 3 after a costly miss by the Canadians in the third end. Kathy, you really have to give credit to this young Korean team in some ways, even in the action we've seen here this morning. There was one really nice double earlier, and then when Jones missed her shot, the Korean skip still had to make hers to count the 3, and did that very nicely.
No question, if you cast your mind back to the second end, the end in which Colleen scored 3, it was Mi Young Kim who made a tremendous double and roll behind the guard. It was just because of a great shot by Colleen that they were able to get 3. And last end, it was the Canadian team for sure that had chances, but that one miss by Colleen meant that Mi Young had a chance, and she took advantage of that. So no arguments against the play so far of Mi Young Kim. Koreans not liking how close that yellow stone is to the house that belongs to Canada. Would like to hit and stick on that stone. And that is where you will see most of the percentage points drop for this young Korean team. It is usually the hits and rolls out, and of course you are scored out of 4. And a hit and roll out is then scored as a 2, and so you get a lot of those 50 percentages. It does bring down your overall score, but it has not been a lot of complete misses as much as half shots. Marianne Way has the chance to use that corner guard now with the roll out.
Nice shot, Marianne.
Nice shot indeed.
Canada lying 1. Over on sheet A, it's Norway at 6-2 with a playoff berth already clinched in the semifinals against Margaretha Sigfridsson. Looking to clinch a playoff berth, and simply put, if Sweden wins this morning, there will be a playoff berth available. So here is Dordy Nordby, standing second behind Scotland. Last rock.
For Dordy as well, she'd like to win this game. She lost her last one to Scotland, and it's about winning, breeding, winning, wanting to go into the playoffs that she's assured of.
And And she was looking to blank and can't get the shooter to go.
Sticks around, and so a 2-1 edge for Norway. Back here on our own sheet that we're watching this morning, the Koreans realizing that Marianne Wei's shot was just too good to tap back, tried to corner freeze. Again, great weight. Just had some difficulty getting to curl as much as they want.
Well, here's the deal. Scotland has clinched first. Norway has clinched a playoff spot. We know that, right, Kath?
We do. That's 2 spots out of 4.
Sweden is in with a win. We know that.
That would keep them at 3, but if they lose and go to 4, these 2 teams are playing each other. One will emerge with 4, but you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, and boy, we could have lots of games to go.
Teams with 4 wins today, moving to 5 and 4, would be around for a tiebreaker. Is also correct.
There's all kinds of things. It is just too hard to predict at this point.
Do you want to go one more?
Nope.
Canada can clinch third. I'm going anyway. With a win plus losses by Sweden and Denmark. That just further complicates everybody's thinking out there, but that's
well, and
a truism.
The reason that that can happen is that when you have a number of teams all tied, if there is a spot available, which if Sweden brings back to the pack, there would be in terms of a 3rd place. If there's a team that clearly has defeated all others, they would be given the 3rd place spot. But to have that happen, as John said, there also has to be a Danish loss. And we will just keep bringing you the scores. That's the best we can do to help you figure this out along with us. And of course, the most pivotal thing is that Colleen Jones and the Canadian girls need to win this game, or all the rest is a moot point.
Well, it really is for Canadian curling fans, because that would mean the defending champion is out before the playoffs begin. Right now it's 3-3, Jones and Canada with the hammer in a very tight game with Korea.
Nice shot, Kim.
Very nice shot by Kim. That stone not completely exposed. That's why she threw the big weight. Something she does very well.
That's regular these days. You've got to, like, no.
That stone rolling to the wings, very much available for Myung. Would really like to hit this stone and roll behind the guard.
Korean team making its first ever World Championship appearance. This young team has been over to Canada a couple of times to play in Spiels on the West Coast.
That, of course, because of their coach, Elaine Dag-Jackson, resides in British Columbia.
Shooter is gone, Yellowstone removed. Russia has blanked, so it's 4-2 heading to the 6th end now in the game Russia-Denmark.
Horse looks like a draw to the open side. Three still?
For Colleen, the chance to find draw weight, 50% so far on a couple of draws that she has attempted. The first one coming very short and ticking the guard. The second one making it into the house, but not where she wanted it to be. Wide open house. This is when you need to find draw weight.
Jones without, or with the last rock here after giving up 3 in 3.
Just a little light on her previous 2 attempts. There's no reason to believe it's any different this morning than any other times, which would mean That for Colleen, around 13 and a half at the hog line would give you a sense that she'd be good.
You're fine. Nice, really nice line. Whoa.
They like the line. They're by the guard.
Hurry. Hurry, bury it. Yep. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
And they'll bury it just shy of the
Nice
4.
shot. There you go.
It
That's
went.
a keeper. Very nice shot.
Nice shot.
Had lots of room by the guard, but for Colleen, the confidence that
What a lovely
the
shot.
ice was right and the
What
weight
did you
was
throw?
right.
3-ish, I think. 아니 붙이는 것보다는 살짝 이거 원래 가운데 센터가 많이 컬 먹잖아. 그래서 차라리 이렇게
Korean team
들어가서
standing in front of the house looking back to see how much, if any, of that Canadian stone they are able to see.
웨이트 너무 몸으로 해서 컨트롤로 해서 컨트롤 3초 2 3초 2 이 정도 잡고 3초 2 3초 2 이 정도 잡고
Final draw on the women's round robin schedule here at the Ford Worlds. One more for the men slated for this afternoon, and then it's on to tiebreakers and playoffs following that.
미리 해야 돼. 컬 많이 먹기 때문에 할 수 있을 것 같아.
Canada's Randy Ferbey is atop the heap in the men's standings with a 6-2 record after 2 more wins yesterday. Ferbey tied with Scotland and the United States, all at 6-2, and all 3 of those teams on the men's side, Kath, have qualified for the playoffs.
You can see the guard. That's the problem that they're worried about. With this ice, she'll be looking for backline weight, thinks that she can get around it enough
하트 2면 될 것 같아.
to tap it back.
약하지만 않으면 될 것 같아.
This is the same spot that Colleen threw that stone in the second end to score 3. So for Mi Young, she has seen this path,
3초 2
but you can see that there's not a lot that she can see.
3초 2 3초 2
라인 좋아, 웨이트. 스윗 파리, 계속. 스윗 파리. 계속 스윗.
That's how you say hurry hard in Korean.
스윗.
And not enough to get by the yellow guard.
몇 초였어?
Rolls into the rings, however. Over on sheet C, Scotland, Switzerland, with the Swiss leading 4-1. Critical game for Manuela Corman of Switzerland. Here's the final stone for Jackie Lockhart of Scotland, who has already clinched top spot. Opportunity here, Kathy, for 2 for this Scottish team. Can't hold the shooter. That's the second time it's happened. So just 1 point there.
For Colleen, 8 foot, had a great chance to find that elusive draw weight, found it in spades on her first stone, made it good enough that the team from Korea could not replace that stone with their own, and a chance now for Colleen to take a 2-point edge and rebound from that 3 that she gave to Korea last end.
Here's Colleen's final stone.
You can't hurt it. You're on this one, so
We don't have to go hard.
you're right on this one.
Okay.
Clean
Canada
right up.
gave up 3 in
That's a
3.
good shot, Colleen.
And here is the
nice
stone
ones.
2 yellow.
God,
To
that
get
rolled
back.
on. I didn't even notice.
into the lead with 2 there. 2 yellow stones will count. Canada
I've read that. on
takes
there.
a 5-3 lead into the 5th end. Final day round robin play here at the Worlds. Back inside the Civic Center in Bismarck. We're almost halfway home on the final draw of round robin play. Canada against Korea. Colleen Jones with 2 in 4 for a 2-point advantage on the young Korean team.
Good to rebound. The best way to defend against a 3 is to bounce back with a 2 or a 6.
2 is good. 6 is 3 times as good.
But seriously, very good for the Canadian girls to bounce back very quickly, and really nice to see was Colleen's control of draw weight, making 2 very good draws. One that forced the chance for 2.
Player profiles brought to you by Nova Scotia. Canada's Seacoast. Canada's lead, Nancy Delahunt.
Some great numbers by Nancy all week. Has been the top of the leaderboard for leads. What that means is that Canada has had every end, as in the men, started really, really well.
And guess who's here?
That's
the family.
Captain Canada. The man with the bandana is Dave Delahunt. Nancy's husband, the little one in the green, that's Marianne Way's daughter Lauren, and all of the kids. And the guy with the tape made the mistake last night of telling the girls he was going to cheer for Korea, so Dave Delahunt took care of him.
Chris Robinson is his name. He is the president of the Margarita Curling Club. There is no clubhouse. There is a president. And they gather at certain times of the year. They'll have their bonspiel in Calgary this year, apparently.
For the Korean team, they're finding little pieces of something on the ice at the home end. They've spent the last couple of seconds doing a little bit of house cleaning, which is a very good thing to do, facing 2 Canadian stones.
Hitting a nice little roll. It's a live shot. Korea will have the hammer here in 5.
Regular.
You can see that long guard belonging to Korea. It really protects the Canadian stone much better than the Korean stone. So Marianne has a shot at removing the stone in the house that currently is shot.
Okay.
Yep. Whoa. A lot of weight. Whoa.
Nice shot.
Marianne on the money. Nice little roll, splits the house.
You know what?
Canada lies too.
They're throwing peel. They're going throwing peel, but the ice is so skinny.
이거 안 보이지? 안 보여. 너무 롱가디야.
Myung checking with her team how much of that yellow stone they can see behind the guard.
여기 붙이면 우리께 제일 가까워.
With Last Rock, considering that this corner freeze is probably their best option, that's what they're choosing to play.
Very young team, as you see from Korea.
약간 들어갔는데.
Average age,
웨이트 약해.
right about there at 23.
라인 스윕. 스윕. 닦아야 돼. 웨이트 왜 이렇게 약해? 스윕. 스윕.
Great brushing to get it by. The question now is the line. You saw little Lauren, that's Marianne's little girl, who is 4.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because they're just going to do that anyway.
Yes.
Already lying 2, Colleen does not want to worry about going out in the wings, removing the Korean stone. What she's elected to do is to take away the shot that Myung has shown her she wants to play, which is the corner freeze.
Weight's good. Whoa, fine for line, fine for line, fine for line. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Just pretty good weight, right? Just to it.
Not quite to it.
Canada lies 2.
You got it. Great shot, Marianne.
Pistol.
And one more there. Over on sheet A, it's Norway and Sweden. Very busy house. Final stone to come. For Sweden's Margaretha Sigfridsson, looking to draw for 2.
Big game for her, no question about this.
Sweden at 5 and 3. A win over Norway means a spot in the playoffs for this Swedish team this morning.
And that, of course, is Maria Engholm, who throws last stone for the Swedish team, will come short.
Only 1 there, so it's 2-2. Hammer goes back to Doherty Nordby.
자꾸 보여. 알았어. 웨이트 안 약해. 괜찮아.
Just ticking on that guard, the redirect, fortunate enough for Korea to remove the Canadian stone that was the
I'm not
left-hand
so sure,
side
you
of the
guys,
house.
that we should be hitting this one.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Because those yellow fellers aren't going anywhere.
I think so.
What'd she say? Control?
I think so too, Colleen.
Oh.
She looked at going to the other side, but when you're up 2 points, why would you leave it around?
Here's
Just
Kim
regular.
Kelly,
Yeah, hard.
3.
residing
Whoa,
in Dartmouth.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
First among
Regular.
thirds here,
Whoa.
curling 80% coming into this draw.
Whoa.
And has
Yep,
more All-Star
yep,
awards to
yep.
her credit than most other
Nice job,
players. First as a second at the Canadian Championship for years. She racked up the silverware, and at the World Championships, when we see her at the top of the board, we are not surprised.
Counting 3 Canadian stones as we look down.
이거 하나는 나무, 하나는 나무. 쳐도. 이렇게 치자.
Looking at trying to remove multiple points. If you hit off this, can you get this one too?
좀 있게, 세게. 어. 됐다, 세게 해야 돼. 됐다, 세게 할게.
You can see that in that gap, there is barely enough room for a stone, so she feels just a simple redirect
안에서 쳐.
should remove these 2 top stop ones
안에서 쳐.
and
어,
maybe
여기야.
drive that one behind the tee line. It won't go out of play, but
됐다,
may
세게
give her
할게.
something to freeze to
세게.
on her second one.
라인만 봐, 라인만.
Hyunjin Lee is the third on this team. He's made some really nice shots this week.
오, 오, 오.
Korea facing 3 Canadian counters.
하나밖에.
One gone.
Two
Another
gone.
gone out the back.
오.
So Canada lies 1 in the 4.
Oh, Captain Canada won the kids. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Captain Canada has
Like this?
I like it tight.
got the audience going here. Third Kim Kelly for Canada's
Might be
team.
in here.
Looking to protect this stone by guarding it by being tight or in the
Tight or
house.
in.
Does not want
No,
long
it's just
guard.
tight. It's just tight. Okay, well,
Stone is nicely placed. Where will the guard come
Nice
to
shot,
rest?
Kim.
Part of the crowd there. Captain Canada,
There he is.
David Delahunt, is somewhere. Can you circle him for us?
I sure can. There he is, getting that crowd going. Just in case you think that you can come here and not cheer. No way. Not with this guy. Yeah, I think he has more fun than Nancy sometimes.
Final stone for the Korean third. Looking to remove the Canadian guard and don't
잘했어, 잘했어.
and hang around.
너무
Didn't
셌나 보다.
miss.
안 흘러, 안 흘러.
Hoping on that
Second
shot.
stone by all that much.
뭐라
Exactly. Hoping that they, in the course
내가
of
뭐라
running it
그랬는데?
back, would move that stone, if not right out of the house, for
그래도
sure
어디서 실패했는데
off of the
너무
4-foot
세서
spot.
She did.
Right now, Mi-young Kim is going to have a very
Throw
difficult
4.5 for that.
last shot. Pauline's
you
able
know
to
what? It
protect
felt
it.
like, yeah, just almost, yeah, 4-ish, 4-2. Not quite 4.5.
Make sure it's all, you know, to center. I don't want to leave them that in turn hit and
Yes.
roll.
Down to skip stones, and here's Colleen Jones with her first. Wonderful run in Canadian women's curling. Won the World Championship last year on her
Hurry,
third
hurry.
try.
Weight's good.
Looking
Hurry,
to
hurry,
defend
hurry.
that
Gotta
title
pull it
here
over.
in
Hurry.
Bismarck.
Why is it not curved?
Hurry,
Yes,
if
it's
it's
good.
The first
Hurry.
next step is to win
Hurry, you
this
gotta go
game
long
today
way,
and
guys.
qualify for the tiebreaker round.
Right up, looking better. Hard, every bit.
On the line, protection for the shot stone on the 4.
Well, and ironically
tough
enough,
on
the one
swingy ice.
thing that Colleen said before she sat in the hack is what I
You
don't
gotta
want
go
to do
rocks
is
with-
leave
put
her
it
the
in
in-turn.
As far as weight goes, in order to cover it.
And here's why she doesn't want to leave her the in-turn, because she's got the hit. Where does the shooter go for Korea? Goes right behind the corner guard.
Player profiles brought to you by Nova Scotia, Canada's sea coast, and a home to the Brier next year in Halifax. Guaranteed a fun time. Around the guard and on the shot stone. The roll is there, but not behind that Korean corner guard. So there's still an opening.
Was pretty much close
To the
to here,
final
wasn't it?
stone by Colleen Jones.
12 foot now.
Okay. I think it will, Colleen.
Won't come as a surprise to you. This lady's nickname is Mi-young Smile.
Oh, really?
Had a funny handle. I don't know
Oh,
if
there I see it. Yes, you're right. We've seen the smile
Add
all
more
week.
weight, yeah.
Korean team all single, all students. All on their first appearance on the World
Bouncing.
Curling stage.
Yep.
Safe to say they've learned a thing or two about the international game here this week. Here's Colleen Jones.
Yep.
Final stone in 5.
Right up, guys.
Facing
Right up,
one, looking to remove that Korean stone. Rolls out the back.
Mi-young looking at that split on that red stone by the Ford logo, trying to figure out if she can promote that stone in and roll her shooter as well.
Trying to find that way to count 2.
Pretty tough, but it certainly
It's a little far out is really what it is. I mean, just a little too far in the far away from the rings and a little too far left. There's not as much of the blue surface over in that area.
It's mostly that it is very far over. If that rock is in the same position, but a little bit closer to the center line, then that shot is relatively easy.
Just too far left to make it easy.
It's there, but it's certainly difficult.
살짝 맞아도 돼. 진짜 살짝 맞아도. 그때 끝에 살짝만 맞고선 들어오면 저 앞에 이쪽 거 들어올 것 같아. 좀 있죠, 아주 좀.
First end was a blank. Colleen scored 3 in the second. Korea came back with 3 in the third after a Canada miss. And Jones picked up 2 in 4. That's the advantage the Canadian team has now. A 2-point advantage at 5-3.
어려운 것 때문에 T8로.
Mi-young Kim.
Her team wishing her well on this one. It's a tough shot, John, because that rock is further over. If it was here, that shot is there all day. It's here, there's no question, but she has to hit it very thin in order to make this shot. One of the risks that you take that she's aware of is that if you don't make the shot, you're giving up last rock and only scoring 1. The other option, of course, is just to throw it through the house, take the blank, and see what develops next end.
Final stone in 5 for Korea. Mi-young Kim. Looking for a way to count 2 and get all even with Canada. Heading to the 5th end break.
Now her
Missed
team
the
could
shot,
be
missed the
sweeping.
stone, and if they might have dragged that right out of the house and had the blank end the other way regardless.
And that would have been the right thing to do.
Might not have gotten it there. However, it could have been worth the try. Count 1 for Korea, give the hammer back to Colleen, and we'll take a break after 5 ends here at the Worlds.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you by Nokia, proud sponsor of the Nokia Brier, by Karcher, quality cleaning equipment, and by Ford. Ford of Canada supports the love of the sport and the drive to achieve.
Let's get to another update. We'll begin on Sheet D. The loser is out. Russia versus Denmark, 2 teams at 4-4. And the winner will move on to at least a tiebreaker here at the Worlds. Final stone, Russia. Heavy sweep on this one. Little hits. And that will stay around. So it's a 4-3 game there. Over on sheet C, Scotland has a spot all locked up. In fact, it's number 1. Switzerland at 4-4, trying to be around for the tiebreakers too, Kath. And this, a draw 4-2. So Switzerland giving the front runners all they can handle this morning. It's 6-2 there. All even on sheet A. It's important for Sweden over there. 2-2. 4-1 the United States leading Germany, and that has no real importance here except for winning the final day. We showed you that score at 6-2, and this one as well. Our game close to 5-4. Canada, Korea. 6th end coming up. There's the state capital. And this is Bismarck, North Dakota, home of the 2002 Worlds. It's after 5, so we bring you the numbers for true value. The score is 5-4. The rest is up to Kathy.
Well, and this has been the biggest difference. You look at some of the numbers, they're really even for a team that is in playoff contention. And Korea winless so far. Look at these numbers, real good. The difference really has been the hitting. And as I talked about with an inexperienced team where you tend to see the difference as the hit and rolls out, that's the numbers, and the edge all day long when you look at the overall is for Team Canada. And that's why they have a bit of an edge. And for sure, that 3 that they gave up to Korea, just a big miscue on Collins to not only miss a stone, but pick her own out, which allowed Myung Kim for 3.
So this is the 6th end. 1 Korean stone in play is Nancy Delahunt. Leader among leads at 82% this week.
When in doubt, don't clean. Yeah.
Releases her stone.
Wall clean.
1st and 6 for Delahunt. Over on sheet A, it's Norway with a spot already guaranteed in the playoff round against Sweden. Sweden will be there with a victory today. It's 2-2. Here's the final stone for Dorothy Nordby. Nordby looking to play in off one of her red stones.
Just trying to tap and redirect this stone into the full 8-4 for 1, but
not this time. It'll be 3-2, a steal for Sweden.
Yep. Although that's pretty fair. Clean only. Whoa.
Canada leading Korea by the narrowest of margins. There's another Korean stone erased.
just wide open and simple. We talked last end about the call that Myung Kim had made to play the split, and what the decision was not a bad one, but when she had missed the split, a more experienced team would have swept very hard on her draw, trying to get it out of the house. So in a sense, you miss the shot you call, but you blank and keep last rock.
Rock exchange, a little roll on the Korean stone. Half in the four.
For the Canadians with last rock, no need to force play. Just want to play the stones in the house. Wait for Korea to maybe make a mistake for two, and if not, we'll move on. Very happy with the point that they're one up on the board and they have last rock.
Shooter won't hang around this time.
Not finished there quite as much. I didn't find mine did as much as I thought either. I want my red jacket. Where it is. Oh, I guess it's white.
Korean team will remember that huge three scored in the third end for a long time against Canada. Set up by a miscue, but the Korean skip, Young Kim, did make the shot and counted her three.
Oh, well.
I still thought it would come though. This will.
Talked about Marianne's numbers earlier, just a little bit lower for sure than we would have expected. When you watch her throw a rock, she's still throwing it very, very well. Not one particular thing that you can sort of pin an explanation on, just sometimes it's not your week.
David's up there getting those
I
kids
know.
going.
The David they're referring to, of course, David Delahunt, and we showed you Captain Canada.
We show you the house here, just one stone in play. It's been a very simple end thus far. Will the shooter hang around? In play, but not in the rings.
Still three.
나도 잘 안 들려. 시끄러워가지고.
Whoa. That should be lots, girls.
Colleen asking Kim to draw to the other side of the house, even though the stone we just saw roll out did stay in play. Colleen just wants to keep away, as far away as possible, from any stones in play. You heard the battle cry as Kim came out of the hack, suggesting that she knew that perhaps was a little bit off, still in the house, but a little deeper than she wanted.
넉넉히 잡게.
I don't know. Look pretty good.
Korea scored 1 in 5, so Canada has the hammer here. Final stone, Colleen in control of the end, and the lead at 5-4.
We've talked about all of these permutations and combinations that we can get into with tiebreakers today. 13 out of the 26 years that the women have played in this World Championship, there have been multiple combinations. The most in 1984, where there were 6 teams tied for third. 4 tiebreakers were needed, and that was in fact the year that my former leader, Connie Laliberty, went on to win the World Championship.
We've lost our heavy finish.
2 other times in 88 and 89. This is just the women that we're talking about here. There were 4 teams tied, and that's certainly possible today.
Over on sheet D, we'll take you there now. Denmark leading 4-3 on Russia. Both these teams in a critical battle at 4-4. Winner will be on in the tiebreaker round. The loser will be watching the rest of the Worlds here in Bismarck. Final stone for Denmark, and that's Linny Bidstrup. Counting the yellows in the house, a chance for 2 here, and that's the draw that will make it so. Denmark leading Russia 6-3.
Starting to build up that lead in the latter part of the game on that sheet. They will play the 8th end now, playing considerably faster than the game that we're watching, so that score of 6-3 is more significant than if it was in the 6th. But nonetheless, lots of time for the Russian Federation team to still come back.
3 always seems like a difficult number, though, Kathy, in the later ends to be down, does it not?
Sure does.
Even with the 4 rock rule.
2 points you feel really comfortable in getting with either the 3 or the 4 rock rule. As soon as you have to score 3, it gets tougher, but again, they're playing in 8, so if the Russian team is able to score perhaps 2 here, they still will have a couple of ends in which to steal a point or force the Denmark team to take 1 and take 2.
Almost got it.
Lots of hitting and rolling out. Nice and simple for the team from Canada.
1 rock in play, nothing in the house. on sheet E, where we watch Canada against Korea. Down to Skip's rocks.
3, 2, 3.
Colleen talking about the numbers that we showed you when we demonstrated the intervals in the first end, the 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4. That's the time from the back line to the first hog.
Whoa. Gliding a little bit,
It's a system that this team uses for draw weight.
Nice weight.
Nice weight, Colleen.
Nice weight.
그 웨이트 8, 7. 7, 8이면 좋을 것 같아. 8, 8. 약하면 안 돼.
I wouldn't say that's curling as much as it would have earlier either.
Last year at the Worlds, Colleen Jones opened with 2 losses and then ran the table all the way to the World Championship in Lausanne. This year she chose a different approach to defend the title. Won the first 2 games, and then had a little slide in the middle that totaled 4. Battled back with 2 wins just to get to the point this morning, Kathy, where there is something on the line this morning, and obviously the opportunity to hit the tiebreaker round, make the playoffs, and truly defend the title on the weekend. First assignment, though, is to beat Korea in this match this morning. Another team looking for a spot in the playoffs, and it's Switzerland. Scotland is already there. Jackie Lockhart, class of the championship so far with 7 wins in 8 games.
Shooting against 2 stones, the yellow ones belonging to Switzerland.
And that cuts out the Swiss counters. And so 1 for Scotland there.
Identical scores on sheet C and D, 6-3. In this particular case, it is Scotland who is a little bit more comfortable in that game, knowing that even should they lose, they still have first place. And that is by virtue of coming into this game 1 game ahead, should they be tied with Norway because they have defeated Norway.
And with a win this morning, there is something on the line for Scotland, Kathy. A victory means last rock right through the playoffs.
It does.
Whoa.
And while that is not such a huge factor in 4 rock as it is in 3, it's still kind of nice to have.
1 yellow.
And it would be the blank that does not happen.
Colleen Jones takes a point and a 2-point lead, but the hammer belongs to Korea, so this one is a long way from over. That's the score after 6. The 7th coming up here at the Ford Worlds. Back in Bismarck to remind you that Sports Center is on at 6:30 with Rod Smith. As always, you know that, but what's on this week? The Masters beginning today. Highlights will lead the show. That's almost guaranteed. And there's lots more going on as the NHL playoffs continue, or at least the playoff races continue to get there.
Got a great Formula 1 race in San Marino this weekend. Cart goes to Long Beach. Interesting look this year without Roger Penske.
Zoom, zoom.
You sound like Guy. So the team from Korea has decided that in this 7th end, they are no longer comfortable keeping it simple. Great pushing to get that first corner guard, albeit a long one, over the hog line into play.
Yeah, I think that. Right.
Canada has a 2-point lead. We're playing 7. This one is not a lock for Colleen Jones as yet. And when you looked at this game coming in, you would have thought there would have been a big end for Canada. There was a 3. Quickly, Korea responded and got back to even there.
And one of the difficult things of playing a team that is 0-8 going into the last day is that for the young Korean team, they have been very loose this week. This is about a learning experience. I'm sure that Elaine talked to them about, you know, managing their expectations. They want to get everything out of every game, and they would come into this knowing fully well that Canada would be a top contender. Sometimes those teams that are playing loose with nothing to lose are the most difficult to play at any time.
And not to make any excuses, but there has been an immense amount of pressure on this Canadian team all week long, coming in as defending champions. And they were expected to do well. When the losing began, Colleen couldn't put an end to it until the team had lost 4 in a row, including the controversial decision against Germany when the hog line violation came in and clearly upset the Canadian team. But anyway, 2 wins in a row to get back to 4-4. And here's the chance this morning. Win this, wrap it up against Korea, and the tiebreaker possibility becomes real. Over on sheet A, it's Sweden leading Norway 3-2. Sweden clinches a tiebreaker berth with the win yesterday. Could clinch second spot with a victory over Norway this morning. There you go, another steal for Sweden, so a little more interesting over there at 4-2.
Of course, a huge game for Sweden. Should they win that, they avoid dropping back into the pack and tiebreakers. They would be in 3rd place or 2nd place,
Second place ahead of Norway because of the week's record against the Norwegians. Both would have the same record.
Exactly, and that would be a preview of one of the semifinals because they would finish in 2 and 3. Korean not too comfortable with that stone right here, which is in a perfect spot. And so wants to get rid of the guard that's just been thrown there by the Canadian girls. Korea does have last rock in the 7th end after that failed blank attempt by Colleen Jones. Tried to get the corner guards up, was successful in doing it, but that Canadian stone is in an ideal place. That great shot by Nancy Delahunt on her first one.
Yes, we're into the guard game now.
Canada could guard and protect that stone that's almost on the logo.
It's a little less.
Halfway, not quite halfway. Hurry. It's long, hard. We're not that halfway, we're halfway.
Canada trying to replace the guard in the hole, protect the stone on the top of the 4th hole.
Finish harder.
I think you guys, we really have to commit to the out front because, you know, we put a second one in. We're hitting them rolling behind the pole. Unless they
There's one final this morning, and it won't change anything at all. The United States and Germany had both missed qualifying for the playoffs by results earlier this week. However, Patty Lank of the U.S. does get a little better feeling with 4 wins and 5 losses, compared to 3 wins and 6, which the German team, Natalie Nessler, takes home.
And a huge disappointment for Patty Lank and her team this week. Came into here.
Ooh.
Oh my.
There is reason to giggle over that. A little good fortune for the Koreans, replacing the Canadian shot stone there.
And you see the angles here. Yellow goes on to red, and this is not pool. You don't have to call the shots. When the dust settles, you take what happens. And for the Korean team, they're in the 4-foot now.
And in behind, well, not from that angle. It looks wide open, obviously.
Sure.
Wide open for Colleen, trying to just determine whether they want to play the in-turn or the out-turn. Do very much want to roll behind the yellow guard. That is the Canadian stone in front of the house.
Whoa, whoa, girls, whoa,
Here's Kim Kelly, Canada's 3rd.
Yep.
And leading all 3rd shooters here in Bismarck at 80%. Not very many misses. Gets the roll.
Right over. Somebody.
You guys follow those, because that could have gone over.
Kim really wanted that stone to roll out into the wings as far as possible.
Colleen
There's a
just leads
shot
though,
through the
so if
hole.
you guys want to follow the roll, I don't know if you're close enough, but yeah, not very hard though. She wouldn't listen to me. Is our little back guy out?
아무것도 보지 마. 부름만 봐. 부름만. 오! 웨이트.
With where that rock stopped, there's a hole between the Canadian guard and a very long guard. Remember that the Koreans swept really hard. You're going to see one just over the hog line right there, and so trying to get through. And now that Canadian stone is guarded.
Yep.
Let's go to sheet D. It's Russia, Denmark. The teams we've been telling you all morning are even at 4-4. Winner goes home. Or the winner stays here, loser goes home. I've got it now.
I'm gonna say in a bizarre turn of fate.
Change the rules. Here's Denmark leading 6-3. Russia's final stone is on the way on sheet D.
Mine's okay. No.
Looking to draw for one against a couple of yellow stones there.
Nicely done.
And it's a 2-point ball game now.
It's okay. It's okay. It's half tuck. Whoa.
Good shot, Kim. Great shot.
Good shot by Kim, but you can see the finish did not happen at the end. Korea can hit and roll.
She said whoa on that, like I was way wide, but I threw it.
좋아. 약간 빠졌어.
Final stone for the Korean third. Mi Sung Shin.
Lots of weight on the shot.
There's one, there's two.
That's the double.
Nicely played.
잘했어. 야, 우리 왜 이렇게 잘해?
Very nice young lady. I bumped into her between ends, Kathy.
You did indeed, and she throws this one really well, John. We talked about a lot of weight. She was looking at potentially the roll, but a great call by Mi-young Kim when clearly it was staying out there. Makes the double, and
Okay.
the shooter is now behind the
I
guard.
guess you could play back line if you want, but.
For Colleen, because of where that guard is. Keep in mind, Colleen gave up the rights to last rock on that failed blank attempt.
No, you know what? Straight freeze.
Yeah, I think I like the freeze too.
Straight freeze, Nance.
I think this is enough ice too, because it's not as curly there, according
Skips
to hers.
rocks
anyway.
to come.
What do you think?
Canada without here.
I like the ice.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna throw back,
Any more
you know.
than draw anyway, yeah.
Well, I was gonna throw like back.
Right.
Not the bump. Three.
Another draw for Colleen Jones. Had a
Hard
slow
line,
start with
hard.
this part of her game this
Hard
morning.
line. Your
Has
line's
thrown
great.
6
Hard
previous to
line.
this at 79%,
Hard
almost
line.
80.
Very hard.
Would suggest that she feels
Hurry,
pretty
hard, guys.
comfortable with her draw weight today.
Hard as you can.
We're very
Hard,
shy.
hard. Keep going, keep going. Okay. Okay.
Oh, I didn't have a hope. Shit.
That kind of wraps it up and sums everything up there in the shot. Yellow Canadian stone providing a little protection for that Korean rock. Just in the middle of the 8. Big sweep, couldn't get it all the way.
And look at air on heavy there, for God's sake.
It's like we showed you, looking to draw around that guard that she's got in front. She's able to do that. All kinds of problems for Colleen. She does not have last rock. Korea already lies 1.
아예 딱 들어가지 않는, 딱 숨지 않은 이상은 앞에 놔둔 게 나을 것 같아. 훨씬 가까워.
여기다 넣으려고.
Decision has not been made by the Korean team.
훨씬 가까워.
반 가리면 돼. 반.
많이 흐르잖아. 여기. 지연이 거 여기 잡으면.
Final draw of the round robin
이쪽 많이 흘러.
in women's play
아예.
here at the Worlds. The men will see action later this afternoon in their final round robin games.
그럼 안쪽.
Canada, Scotland, and the United States are all at 6-2, so Randy Ferbey is there with the leaders,
조금만.
playing one final game against Scotland this afternoon. And Canada has already qualified for the playoffs.
제 1위 컴이야.
Here's how the standings are at this point, all at 6-2, Canada, Scotland, and the United States. And the scramble begins after that. Norway 5-3, Denmark 4-4, Finland 4-4, Switzerland 4-4. Still in a scramble for that final playoff spot.
And that will be determined this afternoon if Norway is able to defeat winless Austria. That field
no
will be set.
Right?
You bet. Canada, of course, taking on the Scottish team in what should be a tremendous outing this afternoon. So decision was to get around that center guard and lie two.
Korean brushers get it by. How far can they drag this stone? Nicely played again. They have made some nice shots when given the opportunity this morning, and the celebrations are really fun to watch, aren't they? That's on E. Over to C, where Scotland has fallen behind by 3 to Switzerland. Scots with nothing on the line here this morning except last rock through the playoffs. Switzerland clawing to get into the tiebreaker round.
Chance for 2.
And that'll do it, won't it? Nicely shots. Switzerland's Manuela Corman has taken control there.
And all kinds of trouble here for Colleen Jones and her team. Korea lying 2.
Lots of room,
All
guys.
Colleen has is to follow Mi-young Kim down and corner freeze or sit right in front of the stone in the top of the 4.
Yeah.
Final stone for Colleen Jones of Canada. She will not have last rock in this end.
Go out. No, you can't now. You can't now.
Oh, it's
handy.
Wow, there's a break.
Did it pick up something and slow down that way?
No question, it did 2 things. Picked and curled.
Anyway.
Watch right at the end. You'll see as the rock comes into the top of the house, it might tick and roll over. Right there, pick and turn.
It really slows in the house, like you think, okay, are we gonna go take the chance to go around, and then it slows so much. Great job.
웨이트 좀 있게 해서 컬 먹어서 들어가.
아니면 이거 노란 거 맞고 이렇게 들어와도 되니까.
That's how she gets her
안
2.
돼, 안 돼. 그냥 들어가야 돼, 안 돼. 그래, 알았어.
이거 맞아.
안 돼, 안 돼.
Okay, sorry.
Final stone to come for Korea here. There is an opportunity for 2.
딱 에이프 끝에 잡아, 딱 에이프 끝에.
It's a tough one, and even though we saw Colleen's rock pick, she wasn't super heavy, but she may have bounced out and given Korea a chance for 3. But you can see what she has done by placing that stone there, which was in fact what she wanted to do. She needs to get a piece of the white button or the blue forward sign in order to score her 2.
그래도 1점 확보야, 우선. 2점을 따느냐. 어? 웨이트 라인 넉넉히 나왔어. 웨이트. 아까 이상했지? 아까 거 이상했어.
Lots of rocks in front of the house. Up 2, Canada is. But a chance for Korea to tie this game on this shot.
Final stone in the 7th. Canada has the lead, but you don't get the feeling that this one is all wrapped up yet for Colleen Jones. Final stone. Mi Young Kim of Korea in her first World Curling Championship. Looking to score 2. It will not happen. No opportunity there. So, and just 1 to the total. Canada's lead is narrowed to 6-5. Colleen Jones has the hammer and ace. Welcome back. It's final day in round robin play. On the line, the playoff spots, or at least tiebreaker opportunities for 4 teams as we look at this. This is Dorty Nordby. She has already qualified for the semifinals.
Previous to this, on her last shot, Dorty made a great shot to lie 4. But Sweden came back with a tremendous shot of their own. Corner froze the stone, so Dorty has a shot at 2.
And she has pulled the chute on this one. Doesn't get anywhere near the house. So only 1 for Norway and a 4-3 match there. A 1-point game over here as well. Canada's Colleen Jones looking to make it to the tiebreaker round. She will with a victory over Korea today, but this is close. 1-point game. Canada with the hammer here. Playing 8.
여기 좀 변했나 봐. 링크 좀 변했나 봐.
Wow, we do grow leads great in Canada. Marcel Rock, Nancy Delahunt, huge numbers all week. Look at that, 96%. Great numbers for the opponent as well, but when you are shooting against someone shooting 96%, you almost have to be perfect in order to stay even with Nancy Delahunt.
Player comparisons this end brought to you by Nokia.
Yeah. 96%.
No. Oh, might be.
85 doesn't look bad for the other team until you see that number, does it?
85% is a
Pretty
really
nice,
solid
isn't it?
performance.
Yes, I'd say.
But what a great week this lady has had. And Scott as well, right up there.
Stinky tool.
라인.
Colleen has that last rock back.
어비야.
She has very much stuck to the game plan with a couple of blips on the radar screen with rocks in play. And that game plan is simple. Keep the guards tight to the house. And quite frankly, a couple of bizarre twists last end when Korea, in the process of removing a guard, drove one of their stones back on the Canadian stone in the 4-foot.
Nope, she's not.
All of a sudden, the fortunes changed for Canada, and then on last stone for Colleen, having pretty good weight, but not the line. The rock picks just the top of the 4-foot and spins it enough
To be second shot.
Exactly, and no way for Korea to remove it for 3, and so it was a chance for 2, but only 1.
Yeah, weight's good. No, it
And
needs
so
it.
a 1-point lead for Canada with last rock in 8.
Hurry on! Hurry, Chris! Hurry! Hurry, hurry, hurry! Hurry, hurry! Hurry, 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 hurry! Don't you
Good sweep by the Canadian brushers there. And here's how the seconds compare.
Oh,
Marianne
Way
Way.
having a nice day.
And nice to see, because for Marianne Way, this week has been a struggle. 96, some decent numbers
이상아, 라인!
for my son Shin. But again, 75% we would consider about average at seconds, but a really, really nice game for Marianne Way. Nice to see at this point in the week. This is when you got to start to play really well.
I thought your son was Gaytown.
어비야.
Sorry?
You said my son, Shin, and I was just saying I thought your son was Gaytown.
No, that's my daughter.
Oh, your daughter.
My son is Jacques, as
Oh,
in
Jacques.
Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Well, it'll
Looks like a lot of ice.
I threw in
Wanna come
practice
this
here.
way then?
Okay.
Oh, no,
Marianne Way. 2 Korean stones lined up.
Whoa!
Right side of the house.
Yep.
Hoping for the run back and remove both.
Got the guard. roll.
Which is a good option as well.
Both of those.
Yeah.
You hope for both, but the
Should've
worst
listened
thing
to
that you
their
want to
hands.
do is drive it straight back and replace one with the other.
Nice throw, Colleen. Marianne. Definitely.
Should have listened to your call.
이쪽이 별로 안 흘러. 스테이야. 팔로 해. 좀 더 작긴 잡을게. 좋아, 스윗! 허리. 스윗, 허리! 허리!
Korea trying to lie two on this shot.
스윗! 스윗!
On it all the way. And it's right there with a little roll after that, sitting nicely. Although there's an angle there.
It's pretty flat, and for Colleen and her team with this 1-point advantage, if she gets into the situation where they trade rocks right through, she will be content to hit and stick for one, and that 2-point advantage going to 9. The risk of the double is that you throw the up weight in that spot and you don't get it.
Nice shot, Kim.
No thought about the double. Removal of 1 stone. One-point game. Canada with the hammer as we play 8. 2 rocks in the house. Now the 2 belong to the Koreans.
알았어. 밀리는 거 장난 아니야.
Some great numbers again for Kim.
You want to sit right there?
Bit of
okay?
a struggle
Yeah.
more at the 3rd position for
seems
Team
so.
Korea, but Kim continues, particularly with the hitting game, and that goes back to her roots as a second. Some really good numbers. That's why she's at the top of all thirds.
Seeing as if we ever roll out here from the garden.
Close.
Here's
No.
Kelly's shot.
No! 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 Yep.
Holding the sweepers off, at least until now.
Shot, Kim.
Hangs around as well.
Good shot by Kim indeed. That stone moving up the house means that for the team from
If
Korea,
that was coming up or not.
the margin becomes slighter
Don't sweep it and hit and roll out. I didn't mind a little flop in.
to hit and stick.
You want to keep it out there as far as possible.
I know, but it really didn't come till the end.
Colleen playing out in the wings just because the margin of error is much greater in terms of sticking around, hoping that Korea on one of these attempts will roll out.
스윙 힐링. 이쪽 발.
Sheet C. It's Scotland against Switzerland.
조금만.
Gosh, it's hard to tell whether it's 3 yellow or 2 yellow that she faces, but
Facing a couple of yellow stones, the Scottish skip, Jackie Lockhart.
there were 3 and now there are none.
And Scotland and Jackie Lockhart celebrating that shot this morning. They have been behind Switzerland since the get-go.
And that's what Colleen has been waiting for, that roll out,
약했는데 왜 안 오르지?
which puts us back with only 1 stone in play.
And got on. Would you like some manual help?
Over on D, 9th end. Denmark leading Russia 6-4. Final stone for Lenny Bidstrup of Denmark. These 2 teams tied at 4 and 4. Winner will go on. And Russia will get back into this with a steal there. 6-5. So Russia has been picking up a point and end to narrow the gap.
And a big chance for the team from Denmark there. If she was able to hit that rock a little thicker, she had a shot at it for 3. But instead, with a 1-point difference coming home, lots of pressure on both of those teams. Loser goes home. Bit of a point spread here in the favor of Colleen, but these are pretty consistent numbers for Colleen Jones all week. She's
What's that?
tied for 4th.
I scratched it. Couldn't get it out.
Some okay numbers, but surprisingly, it's her hits at 75%. The hitting game is Colleen's strength. and what you would expect to see much higher than her draws.
라인 좋아. 웨이트.
One in the house.
계속 업해도 돼.
Colleen Jones will have the final stone here in 8.
And it will be the blank attempt. For Korea, they've done what they can now. She's hit and stuck to make it more difficult for Colleen. You'll remember in the 6th end, it was a very similar situation for Colleen Jones. Tried to blank and stuck.
I really don't want to take any more ice cream.
이쪽하고 이쪽만 좀 여기 중간에.
Final stone, Colleen Jones playing for the blank in 8 to retain the hammer in 9.
Yep. Whoa.
As Kathy said,
Already
she
on
missed her
those.
blank attempt
Clean
in
it, girls.
6.
Clean.
Settled for 1.
might overthrow
It's a
now.
1-point game here now, and misses
One yellow.
again.
Oh, sorry.
Not a complete miss, but for Colleen Jones, wants to keep that last rock. Didn't get to
No.
by beaking again, John.
She made contact, but that wasn't the plan. Count one more for Canada. The hammer belongs to Korea as we go to 9. Another update from Sheet A. We're watching this game closely because Sweden at 5-3 has the opportunity to clinch second spot with a win over Norway this morning. Final stone for Sweden. And a chance to draw for 2.
For sure for Sweden, if they're able to win this game, Doherty would drop to be tied with them, and the advantage would go to Sweden for having beaten them. Net, not a whole lot of difference given that 2 and 3 play each other in the tiebreakers, or rather in the first round of the semis.
So it's 6-3. Sweden handling Norway this morning.
And a huge game for Sweden too, because a loss does not put them out. But why would you want to be in a pack with a tiebreaker when you can win this game?
And cruise right through, have a
Be in a
little
semi.
time to rest, and you'll be in the semifinals. Canada can clinch a berth
Dude, that's more ice than my first one.
in the tiebreaker round
No, it's not now.
with a win over Korea today. Canada can clinch 3rd spot in the championship with a victory plus losses by Sweden and Denmark. And at this point, it doesn't look like Sweden will lose, and Denmark is currently leading Russia on the sheet right next door. So a little confusing on the final day of the round robin as Canada meets Korea with a 2-point lead here at 7-5 playing 9.
But it is exciting. And for all the teams out there, with the exception of that one sheet that we talked about playing for Pride, it does make this very an interesting and exciting day for everyone involved.
On sheet C, Scotland behind by 3.
And that is live for you. You can see that Scotland lies 2 with only 1 stone to go. Manuel Corman removes one of these stones, and she has guaranteed herself that she will live to play another game out here.
And this is the 10th end. First stone for the skip from Switzerland. 2 gone for Scotland, and that'll be handshakes there. So Switzerland is definitely on to the tiebreaker round at a record of 5 wins and 4 losses.
So that didn't make it any easier for us to chart this out for you,
Good job.
other than knowing that there could still be lots of tiebreakers to come. For Korea wanting to remove those stones, they certainly have some options. We would see in other situations that teams maybe with a little bit more experience down two with this last rock in the ninth might be playing to tap those stones back. Move them behind the tee line. Give them some opportunities to freeze later. But for Korea, just removing that stone, which makes it very easy for Colleen Jones to decide what it is that she needs to do. And that, of course, is the elimination of the Korean stone.
Whoa. Whoa, okay. Whoa.
Makes the removal and rolls away a little bit. You can see the potential, though, that a hit and roll by the team from Korea. Talking about the one in the 8 foot. She's able to hit there and roll either here or here. It's a good spot, but not even looking at that stone, instead electing to play the one in the 12 foot.
Two yellow stones belonging to Canada. Colleen Jones in good shape here in 9 with the 2-point lead. However, Korea will have the hammer. All kinds of interesting things happened on that shot. Canadian stone raised into the 4.
Well, for my son Shin, what happened is that she just got a little bit outside, ticking on the guard, which redirected. Now the plus for Korea there is, even though she didn't remove a stone, she did tap that Canadian stone behind the tee line, something that she can freeze to later, and Colleen knows that. That is why she's asking Kim to guard this rock by being in the 12 foot.
Make sure I'm there, okay?
Hole 12.
Over curling.
Light brushing on.
Nice shot, Kim.
Wow,
What
did
happened?
that pick?
Must have picked up a little something.
Rock over curls a little bit. Great weight from Kim.
It's very between the frost and the dirt.
That must have picked.
It picked something, Kim.
It was just.
Yeah.
They've talked a lot about the dirt, and in fact, one end we saw lots of cleaning from black debris on the ice.
Over on sheet D, 10th end. Denmark leading Russia 6-5. The Russians have come back to keep this close after trailing by a couple more than one a little earlier. It is a point in 8 for Russia, then a steal in 9 to make it 6-5, and that's the situation.
And she's just trying to decide on the shot, John. They looked at playing the hit on that top red one because Russia, as you see, is losing by 1, and Olga is about to throw her last stone. So do you play the draw around, try to force the extra end? I say yes, you do. Or they were looking at playing the hit to lie 2 so that if Denmark missed, they would win.
I hate to bring you way out in the frost to get that. If we come the intern.
Back on the top right-hand screen, you'll see that Canada continues to lie 3, want to take away the chances for the team from Korea to draw into that little bit of a wall that's starting to build up. The problems that they're having on sheet E is that the frost is creeping in on both sides, and they're being forced out to the intern to cross across the face of all the stones.
Let it bend a bit. Okay, play the bump over.
Let's bump that.
Kim Kelly's shot, the top surface.
I thought that had a lot less on it.
And that'll
Sorry, Kim.
raise another Canadian yellow into the 4 foot, but
Puts
not
it
exactly
in a great, but it puts it in
plan.
a great spot, even though they've gone about it in a very unorthodox manner.
Final shot on D for Russia, facing 1 yellow counter by Denmark. Can they get it home? Will they get it there? Can they force an extra end by outpointing that yellow stone?
Great weight. The question is, though, can Lenny Bidstrup see enough to remove it? Does not have to stick around, because that yellow stone would be second shot.
So the final stone still to come from Denmark. We'll check that out in just a moment. Look at the house full of yellows that is greeting the Korean thirds final stone. Mai Sun-shin gets two moving.
Well, what a nice shot. She got two moving, and most importantly for her is that she rolled behind that rock in the top 12. A great shot for the Korean team.
And here's the final stone for Denmark.
A little bit. Okay.
In a battle of two 4 and 4 teams, winner here on this last shot, it could be decided. We'll move on to the tiebreaker round. It will be Denmark, yes. Counting two against a spunky young Russian team. And 8-5 is the final for Denmark.
Yeah. Thank you.
So that's a 5 and 4 record for the Danes and a 4 and 5 record for Russia.
And that puts Russia right out of the competition. For Colleen, what she's looking to do is to drive her own back onto the Korean stone.
Okay.
So what has happened here this morning, Sweden has grabbed a playoff spot by virtue of a victory over Norway. 7-3 is the final there. So Sweden jumps all the way from a guaranteed tiebreaker spot into second place. Big sweep on for this shot.
Oh, nice shot for
Well
Colleen.
played by Colleen Jones.
Nice shot. Glad you changed the turn.
Very nice shot.
Huh?
Colleen
Great
Shooter
shot,
rolls
Colleen.
a little
Glad you
bit
went
though,
that
so
other turn.
still leaves this open.
It's a great shot.
That's what Myung Kim is looking to play. If you remember, that rock that's at the back of the forefoot was there as a result of a little bit of a tick wick. Almost a miss made by the Korean team early, but it promoted that stone back. That's the stone now that she wants to use to try to generate a great freeze. Maybe a miss by Canada. And a chance for two to tie this game coming home.
어, 그러니까.
So Sweden with that 7-3 victory moves all the way to second spot. That drops Norway into third place. Identical records, but Norway was beaten by Sweden during the round robin. So that's 1, 2, and 3 all decided.
너 4호?
Scotland in first place
4호.
at 7 and 2.
And what we know is that it is the 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. So we do know it'll be Doherty Nordby of Norway facing the Swedish team in a replay of this morning's game in the first semifinal. And the other semifinal will be Scotland awaiting the winner of what could be multiple teams.
웨이트만 봐도 너무 넉넉해.
Korea facing 4 yellow Canadian stones. First shot for Mai Young Kim, and she'll have the shot rock as a result of that.
And some great weight, just didn't curl that much.
Numbers as we know it right now. Scotland, we told you, already had top spot clinched. Sweden with the win moves ahead of Norway, both teams at 6 and 3. So what's on the line is that final playoff spot.
And there we go. Here's the team that we're obviously hoping will win and move into that tiebreaker. We should tell you that should Canada win this, then Canada, Switzerland, and Denmark all tied. What you do is you look at the record, who beat who. They're all 1-1 against each other. So what happens is that at the completion of this game, Canada would throw 1 rock each. The team from Switzerland has already done that. They are draw shots. They are measured closest to the pin, and the totals are added up. And at the end, the team with the best record, meaning the team that is closest to the button on the 4 throws, gets the bye and waits for the first 2 to play off to come and meet them for that final and 4th spot. But first, Colleen has to get out of this game alive. Wide
Denmark,
open.
one of those teams
Clean.
at 5 and 4.
Clean it,
Watching
it's fine.
closely the result here of Canada, Korea. Final game this morning.
And a good shot.
So Canada
shot.
sitting pretty with all
Nice job.
those yellow stones in the house.
It's almost better you take that back out of there. She's got a smaller target.
Put too much back. You have too much back.
The only thing is it's hard for her to roll out.
Yeah.
Although she might be able to roll far enough to give us one, depending on where she rolls to. Even rolling this way looks tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
We're
for
playing the
Canada.
ninth.
Although she'd go behind.
Sorry, John, line 5. She's electing to play the hit and the stick for 1 point. That would give Canada, the worst case scenario for Canada is being 1 up coming home with last rock.
너무 많이 잡았나? 여기 많이 흐르지? 알았어.
Options are few here. Playing 9, down by 2.
Clean.
No other red rocks anywhere in the vicinity.
좋아.
And facing
라인 좋아.
a bushel of Canadian yellows. Final stone in 9 for Korea. And Ma Young Kim. And that will count 1 for the Koreans. Nibbling the 4 right there. Young gals in their first World Championship appearance are fearless, are they not?
They are indeed.
7-6 is the score as we head to 10.
The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you in part by Husky and Mohawk, leaders in fuel, food, and convenience. By JVC, excite your senses. And by Whirlpool Home Appliances, proudly supporting extraordinary Canadian women athletes and everyday champions across the country. The 2002 Ford World Curling Championships on TSN are brought to you by Karcher, quality cleaning equipment. By Nokia, proud sponsor of the Nokia Briar. And by Ford. Ford of Canada supports the love of the sport and the drive to achieve.
Winning a world championship is never an easy task. Colleen Jones has found out that trying to defend that is not so easy either, and here we are. In a 1-point game, playing 10, Colleen Jones must win. She has the lead, she has the hammer, but this is a gutsy Korean team that has matched her shot for shot much of the way this afternoon and played with a lot of spunk, Kat.
Yeah.
They have indeed, and they have had a couple of breaks, but they've also made some really big shots. Interesting conversation with the Canadian team. Really uncertain about how it is that they want to play this.
One would have thought this would have been easy for the Canadians, facing a Korean team making its first appearance at the Worlds. A Korean team that has not won a game all week long. But it has been anything but a cakewalk for Colleen Jones.
The Canadian team decided that they wanted to play the tick on the first one. Nancy didn't make it, but they agreed that they would play it with enough weight that if they missed it, they would go through. It's about minimizing rocks. Now that they're in the position that they can make a whack at it again, that's exactly what they'll try. And then Colleen will just be banging as hard as they can to remove those red Korean stones from play.
Hard, girls!
Canada 1-up coming home. And didn't move it as far away as they might have liked.
Well, a really good try. Those are very, very difficult shots to make. And for Nancy Delahunt, 2 great efforts. And still 2 red stones, though, do remain in front of the house. And now the game plan is easy.
It was a tiny tick, not the full tick.
The full tick.
요거.
라인 많이 들어왔어. 그냥 놔둬. 그냥 웨이트 어디야? 미들. 미들 딱 좋아. 그냥 놔둬. 그냥. 많이 흘러. 아니 많이 들어와서 그래. 그냥 놔둬. 그냥.
Korea looking to steal or
좀
set up that
들어가서 그래.
steal.
I'm going
Here
about
at
it the
10.
right way, John, because for them it's not about scoring 2 necessarily at this point. It's about getting the guards up, and they certainly have 3 for Colleen. If she can hit it on the outside, may be able to remove 2.
Yep. Hard.
Here's Marianne Way for Canada.
Real hard. Whoa.
Having a nice day
Roll your shooter, you guys. Roll it.
in the head-to-head matchup against the Korean second. There you see all of the rocks in play.
진짜 잘해야 돼.
Just
진짜
one in the
완벽한
house
컴이거나
belonging to Canada.
아니면 여기 와야 돼. 앞에 와. T 앞에.
Fighting the 12 behind the tee line.
In the course of trying to remove 2, Marianne stuck around on that rock. Korea feeling that they have enough right now. They're able to get a stone in there. They've got 3 guards for which to protect the stone.
라인 약간 어? 가드. 스윕. 잠깐만 가드 대도 괜찮아. 가드 대도 괜찮아. 어디? 안 가. 어디? 롱까지 땡겨. 가드 대도 괜찮아. 가드 대도 괜찮아. 여기까지
Lots of hard work by the brushers on this.
Well, then you can see that there's no way it's going to be in the 4-foot, so now brushing hard, trying to keep it in play.
And barely.
Still touching the
Well,
hog
yeah,
line. The rock
touch the
comes
hog
off.
there, it's off, so.
Must be completely over.
Yep.
So once again, Team Canada will try to remove some of those guards in front of the house.
It's going outside it.
Second stone for Marianne Way here in 10. And she flashed that.
Oopsie.
잘하자.
So we're going down to the very final rocks of this game.
웨이트 몇 할까? 오? 웨이트만 라인은 괜찮아.
7-6, Canada leading Korea.
라인은 괜찮아. 클린. 넉넉해. 웨이트. 스윕. 넉넉해. 넉넉해. 어디까지? 넉넉해. 웨이트. 스윕.
This will be a better result for this young Korean team. Remembering that Canada has to win this game. The lead is there, the hammer is there, but Canada must prevail over Korea, or the playoff pairings
You might, Kim.
are set at 1, 2, 3. Scotland, Sweden, Norway, and that would be just one tiebreaker. Switzerland, Denmark, both at 5 and 4. So Canada in a must-win situation. And I'm not thinking that the Colleen Jones team is feeling completely comfortable at this point in time.
Oh, not at all. When you're in a 1-point game, we know with the 4-guard zone that last rock sometimes is not the advantage that
Great shot, Kim.
most people think it is. She's able to get this out. That's a great shot. And she is, and it was. The biggest thing there is getting those guards out of the way, make them go away. And that's what she did. It's a great shot for Kim. Hits it on the outside, gets enough of the red one
Thanks.
that
I
not
thought I might
only
be able
does
to
she
get the one in
remove
the house,
one
but I
red,
wouldn't
she
have
also
had
moves
enough
that red up
weight.
higher. If Colleen has to draw on her last shot because she
Problem you
can't see
failed
that red stone,
many
it
times
may
right
only
there.
be the 8-foot.
Grasshopper.
Myung looking to use that guard. Couple options. She could throw another guard in front of the house. Instead, choosing to go in.
화이팅! 라인은 괜찮아. 웨이트 어디? 탑 12?
Young Korean team,
안
winless all week.
아들아 흘러야 돼. 그래도 흘러야 돼. 그래도 여기 와야 돼. 이쪽으로 와야 돼. 비슷하게. 안 흘러.
타이트하게 센터에 두는 게 어때?
Looking for its first win in a World Championship game. They've played decently well against Canada. Strategy has been overall pretty good, Kathy, when you look at the way they have played this game. They haven't made too many mental errors, at least that I have recognized there.
Like a half a rock even on my side.
No, I
right?
think they played really well. The
Jam,
question
jam.
for Colleen is, do you play the double?
No, but I think they're so almost even that.
Pardon?
Okay.
What turn looks best?
The out from here, I'm just going to see how close together they are. Just to tell you what turn looks best.
Lots of time on the
That
clock,
one's sort
so
of
for
trouble,
Kim.
I think, for you.
Yeah,
I
although
think,
that
Kim, if you just do, I think if we concentrate on here to here,
yeah.
here to here to try
Because
to
even
block
if we
that
jam
guard.
over there, you know, at least it opens
Yeah.
all this. Yeah, it looks like, oh, you know what, Skipper?
An intern probably?
If I hit that right, though, it should go over top. No, it looks like out.
Does it?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's almost nose.
Okay. Yeah.
It is almost nose for Kim. It's
Oh,
really
it's
important that
just
you
room
look
for
at
it,
these stones. She's the one that is going to have to throw this, and Kim
It's you're
Kelly
right. Just
spends
off nose.
less time
Yeah.
on the
They're
house
just-
than
they're
any
quite
other
close.
third because she does not call the line for Colleen Jones. Wanted to see, drives this just
you know what,
off
Colleen, I'm gonna
nose.
give you a
This goes
turn, so
out
can I
this
just
way.
have a little
This
left?
goes there, and
Yeah.
her shooter might stay here, and the important thing about that is it might block off that corner guard.
Here is Kim Kelly for Canada.
No.
Crucial 10th end in a one-point game. Canada will have the hammer,
Close.
No.
as you know.
Yeah, I think.
Close.
Yeah, so it doesn't jam. Yes.
There's one, there's two. Redstone's, well, not quite out of the house. One will hang on. And the question is, which might be shot there?
Wow,
Between
Kim's a
red
good
and yellow,
shooter.
fighting on the
You need
12.
to sweep it just a little bit sooner.
Still a great
Am I
effort,
shot
Kim.
up there, though?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I would have got that all the way out if just a little sooner. Go over top.
Use what's available to you.
그 정도면 될 것 같아. 나도 턴 많으니까.
The reason they said sooner is they were hoping that the yellow stone at the top of the house that is shot, that's the shooter that Kim Kelly just threw, was a little bit more to the right as you look at it. Would allow two things, takes away the corner guard, also allows Canada to drive it straight back if Mi Young is able to make this shot.
현재가 왜 쳐있는데?
2 rocks left for Korea, trailing by 1.
4-5 4-5 4-3
Korean team running out of time in one sense. 2:02 on the clock.
스윕 허리 흘린다. 스윕
For
허리.
Korea, Canada has a full 12 minutes left. Interesting there, but there should be enough time to get 2 shots in.
웨이트. 허리 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 허리.
Can they get it there and around the yellow stone? Well swept, well played, and they stop it on the 4. Oh my gosh. Colleen with 2 shots to go is going to have to make one here.
굿스윕. 잘했어.
I am reading that clock correctly, Kathy. I'm hoping because
You are indeed.
I see 137 up there. I was hoping that another number hadn't burned out or something silly like that, but it looks like 137 for Korea left on the clock and 12:03 for Canada.
That looks good, actually. Real good.
Trying to get enough movement. There's the clock we talked about, the ticking on the right, the yellow, that's Colleen Jones's. The 137 belongs to the Korean team, who take a lot of time at the skip position to make the shots. Wanting to get to the side or the face of this stone, will be looking to throw back house weight.
Just a little less, Nance.
You can see that she can't see much. The worst thing for Colleen is to go by this rock on the outside.
First rock for Colleen Jones here in 10.
Yep. Hurry! Hard.
Are we sure?
Whoa!
She still has the hammer, needs to make a big play on the counting. Redstone belonging to Korea here. Has she got it? Well, she moves it,
I'm just seeing who's shot here.
but it's shot stone. Korea still.
Didn't finish.
Now,
the
Kathy,
ball.
we
Number
decided
2
on the
up there?
right
Oh,
side,
doesn't
which,
matter. What?
well, I guess the
they're
yellow
one
at the
now.
top
Was
is
that guy number 2? Yeah.
second shot, is it? Red and
Didn't
yellow
finish
on the
the
right
ball.
side
No,
there,
it's just
Kath.
not doing that anymore. Thank God
Wow,
you tightened up and you had about half weight.
Yeah.
Now this lady is going to have to make her last shot. There's no question about it. You heard Kim Kelly when they called yes, saying, "Are you sure?"
Yellow is number.
Knowing that it goes very, very slowly. She was successful, absolutely, in getting it out of the 4-foot, which is a plus. But it still is, shot rock, a chance for Mi Young Kim to repeat that first shot and lie 2, which is all she needs to win this game.
And it was a beautiful shot with her first stone, Lee Young Kim, a world rookie at 23 years of age. And she has given Canada a terrific match on the final draw of the round robin. Can they get it around again? Might be a little deeper this time, and it is.
It is.
There's room for Colleen Jones.
I hit the open one now.
Oh, I could roll.
No. Colleen, come on, honey.
On my chair.
Why don't we just draw?
Can you see that? Okay.
Could have got this too.
Okay.
Oh God, you guys.
This is the shot that's win or lose, but this is the right call. You heard Kim Kelly saying, come on, honey, make this shot. This is about playing the shot to win, not the shot that is afraid to
You like this,
lose.
Skipper?
Still a 3?
Looking at playing the hit and roll initially, but boy, the odds of making that are slim because it runs straight out there. This is a draw to have a chance to repeat her world championship title.
So if Canada is involved in a tiebreaker tonight, we will show that tiebreaker rather than the Canadian men's game, because Randy Ferbey has already locked his playoff spot up. Ferbey
I think
is
a hair less
through
again.
to the semifinals without a problem at 6-2, along with Scotland and the United States. So if Colleen makes the shot, makes it to the tiebreaker round, we will show Canada
Hard.
women's
Never leave it.
tiebreaker action tonight. Here is the stone from Colleen Jones.
Well, she needs a piece of the fourth, but we know it's 13 and a half right about now.
Jones looking for the 4 foots. Can she get it there? Around the guard, no problem. The draw is on the money. It's almost on the Ford logo. And Jones prevails. It's been an interesting morning, to say the very least. A young, game Korean team
Man, that looked like it was gonna
really played well against the defending world champions, and congratulations should go to that young team for hanging in against the champs. She's done it the hard way, but she's through at least to the tiebreaker round. Canada's Colleen Jones will get that chance to defend her championship, or at least continue along the path to do so.
What a great shot under pressure. There's no question that late in the game, those are the toughest times. Draw weight's been tough, but she made it when she really needed it.
Canada in a tiebreaker against Denmark or Switzerland tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Pacific, or Canada versus Scotland in the men's draw. That's draw number 9. Things still a little bit up in the air here as we figure out who makes me too in the tiebreaker rounds at the World. So we'll keep you posted, and hope you've enjoyed the curling from Bismarck this morning. Kathy, this team really showed something on the world stage today. They didn't win a game all week, but they gave Colleen a run for her money down to the last rock.
Made some great shots. Sometimes when you're coming here with a different goal, a different perspective, makes it really tough for your opponents. And boy, they fought hard today.
WWF Tough Enough is up next on TSN. There's more curling ahead. This has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's sports leader.